Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and I'm the owner, creator, and coach for Believe in Better Finances. So I'm pretty excited. Today is Friday, so it's the end of the week. I'm so ready for the weekend, and we've been so lucky here in Texas, in my area of Texas. It has been super warm today, so I've had the windows open while I've been working today. It's been wonderful. So if you hear a little bit of background noise, I do have my windows open. But so anyways, with this video, I want to do what is called a financial goals series by decade. So if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, I'm going to have a video specifically dedicated to those age groups per week. So for this week, I'm going to actually start with the 20s. So if you're in your 20s, definitely stay tuned. I've got a bunch of great tips for you coming up. And if you're like me in your 30s or 40s or 50s and so on, feel free to subscribe and catch the future videos upcoming soon. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right on in and go over my top tips for setting yourself up for some great financial goals and financial success. All right, so number one, and these are in no particular order, by the way, but one of the first things that I would suggest any 20-year-old do, more so for the younger people in their early 20s, is to, one, become financially independent. So I think for a lot of people in their early 20s, I know for me, I was like chomping at the bit to get out on my own and do my own thing. And, you know, I had a great home life and great parents, but either way, I still wanted to just be independent. So becoming financially independent is also key. So it's one thing to want to get out on your own, but there's nothing more rewarding than being able to say, I'm doing this on my own, and that includes the money piece of it and everything. So if you're in your early 20s, you may be going off to college and you may need or be offered financial assistance from your parents. If you have that, that's great, but it's one thing to be 28 years old living in your parents' basement still because you just don't have the desire to do anything with life. So I guess that's kind of what I mean is, as you're becoming independent, you want to slowly but surely start to try to take on more responsibility, and that definitely comes into play with your finances. So that's the first thing. The second other thing I wanted to talk about is the common saying is living within your means, or hopefully maybe living below your means. And you might say, well, Heather, that doesn't sound fun at all. But again, if you look at your 20s, again, I'm in my early 30s, so I was just, not too long ago, I was just in my 20s. And I can say there's so much that happens in your 20s. You're getting on your own two feet. You're more than likely getting your first job or real job. You're going to college. You might be getting married. You might be having kids, both. You might be wanting to buy your first home at some point in your 20s. So there's a lot of exciting and expensive things that a lot of people experience in their 20s. And again, living within your means or living below your means can determine whether or not you're doing financially successful. So if you're trying to, I guess let me just say this. I know for my situation, seeing a lot of my friends, I would see some friends driving some really nice vehicles. When we were getting ready to buy our first home, some of my friends, they were buying homes that were just amazingly extravagant. And I was sitting here thinking, we make about the same money. I mean, I had a kind of an idea based on the jobs they did, but they were always trying to live a lifestyle of what their parents had. And again, if you think about it, our parents, or most parents out there, they've been working 20, 30, 40 years to get to the point in which they are. So to expect to drive, a high-end vehicle and have a super giant expensive home, in your 20s, you're young, you're starting out, you're trying to establish yourself. So to strap yourself down to a lot of big expenses, that can just really set yourself up for failure, financially speaking. So again, live within your means. If you can, live below your means, and I promise you, that will help you get a great head start in your 20s with your money. Another thing that I definitely recommend doing is developing a retirement plan. So again, young people, you're young, you have the advantage of compound interest over time. So if you get your first job out there, or maybe you're self-employed and you're starting out, definitely set up some kind of retirement plan. Maybe it's your 401k or 403b at work. If you're self-employed and you're not sure exactly what to do, contact a certified financial planner at a local financial institution or wherever, and they can walk you through the process. And even if you don't have a lot of money to invest, that's still okay. A little bit is better than nothing. I'll just tell you, I was 19 years old when I started out at the company I am now. And I mentioned this in a previous investment video, but at the very beginning, I couldn't hardly manage very much out of my budget. I only had like a measly 2 or 3%, which I thought, again, was measly at the time. But as I've gotten pay raises, as I've gotten promotions, as I've made extra money where I've got more wiggle room in my budget, I have slowly but surely increased those contributions. And as the 10 years went by, I was amazed to see how much that money grew. And that's even with dips in the market and stuff like that. And 2008, when the economy kind of tanked on everybody, yeah, I lost a lot of money, but it's gone back up. And so again, had I not started as young as I did, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, if you're already late 20s and watching this video, that's okay. If you haven't started anything yet, that's fine. But the point being is start now. Start as soon as you can. So obviously, the younger you are, the more time your money has to build and compound that interest growth to make you more money over time. So developing a financial plan is something I would definitely recommend for any young person. One thing that you can do is set up a Roth IRA. So if you're self-employed, you might look at a SEP IRA, but there's the traditional, and then there's the Roth IRA. The advantage with the Roth IRA is what you're going to do is pay taxes on the money up front. So say you've got, I don't know, you're going to start one, you want to put $250 in it. So you're going to be paying taxes on that $250 at the beginning. But later on, 30 or 40 years down the road, when you get ready to retire and you want to pull that money out, you won't be paying any more taxes because the taxes will have already been paid up front, which is the great part. That brings me to my next point, being learn about your credit score and your credit report. So before I go into that, let me just preface this by saying I am very much anti-debt. My goal is to not teach people how to go into debt. My goal is to teach you how to do great with your money, how to invest your money, budget it properly so you have more money to invest and build wealth with. So, but either way, I still feel it's very important to pull your credit report so that way, one, you can verify the information that's reporting under your name and social, but also to make sure that there's no fraud that's showing up under your name that's not yours. Because if there is, that's something you definitely want to take care of. But with that, it's important to understand how credit works because it does affect your life. So hopefully for the majority of the things you can pay cash with. But say, for example, if you want to get a mortgage one day, you don't want to wait until you're actually applying for that mortgage before you actually know about your credit report and your credit score and things like that. So if you've never pulled your credit report before, there's a website that you can go to, and that's called www.annualcreditreport.com. And so from there you can pull your 3 reports through Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So you'll pull the reports. A lot of them give you the option to print it. Depending on how much history you've had, it could be kind of long, it could maybe not be. But basically you just want to kind of look through it. Now, and also if you want to buy your score or get your score, you actually have to pay for it. So that 3-digit number that's sort of like your report card for adults, that is not free. So the credit report consumers can pull once a year for free, but the actual score, if you wanted to know what that is, you have to pay for that. It's been a couple years since I pulled my score because I haven't had to, I haven't had a need for it. But if you want to, the last time I did it was like $9.95 or something per credit bureau. It was about $30 total to pull all 3. So it might not be something you want to do every single year, but if you know you're going to be making a major purchase within the next 1 to 2 years, it might be worth pulling just to see kind of where you currently stand if you need to do some work to try to bring your score up or whatnot. Another website resource for you to learn about credit would be myfico.com. So you might want to go there and check that out as well. Another thing when you're in your 20s that I would definitely recommend doing is start to pay off any debt. So like I said, I'm very much anti-debt. And one of the things I tell people, regardless of age, is if you're in a lot of debt or even just a little bit, it's robbing your ability to be able to do great things with your money. Because you think about it, as soon as you get paid, you're having to pay out to all these different lenders monthly payments. And it's like, what if that was reversed where you're paying that money to yourself through investments, mutual funds, maybe rental properties, maybe you want to start your own business. How much easier would it be to start your own business if you didn't have mounds of debt out there? So again, if you've got any outstanding debt, student loans, credit cards, car loans, furniture loans, whatever it may be, start to make a plan for that and how you're going to pay it back. So yeah, that's one great thing I would definitely say. If you've got any outstanding debt, you want to work on killing that, eliminating that out, so that way it frees up cash flow in your budget to do more exciting things. So that brings me to my next point. The next one would be to establish an emergency fund. So again, this doesn't sound very glamorous, but to prevent yourself from going back into debt for things that come up, you want to set up a beginner emergency fund. So if you're in debt, I don't suggest chunking away, 3 to 6 months of your living expenses, which is what they recommend having for an emergency fund. I would say set up a beginning emergency fund. Maybe it's $500, maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $2,000, depending on what your comfort level is. But basically, an emergency fund is only going to be used for emergencies. So say you are driving down the road and you have a flat tire and you need to buy a brand new tire that's a couple $100. That's something you want to tap your emergency fund. You don't want to go put that on a credit card and have to figure out how to pay it back later. Maybe your washing machine goes out. Again, use your emergency fund for stuff like that. Now, if you know your washing machine's on the brink, obviously that should be a kind of a note or a key to you to say, okay, I need to start setting money aside in a savings account to buy a new washing machine. But if it just up and breaks on you and you had no idea, obviously try to use your emergency fund for things like that instead of going to a credit card, because then all you're doing is going back into debt. So it's kind of like you're spinning your wheels per se. So yes, you don't need necessarily 3 to 6 months, but have at least a little bit of money, cash money in the bank should something comes up, because things are going to come up. And then as you work on getting yourself out of debt, that would be my next step, is to start padding that emergency fund to where you get to, 2 months of savings, 3 months of savings, 4, 5, 6. So again, don't let that whole 3 to 6 months amount really intimidate you, because that is a lot of money. So start small, get out of debt. Once you've got that all taken care of, start to build that small emergency fund up. And then, man, the amount of just security and just financial stress will be, eliminated, because you'll have that nice cushion to fall back on should something happen. And then kind of one of my last few tips is, again, getting good health insurance. I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm young, I'm healthy, but having good health insurance is so helpful to fall back on. Even if you are lucky and blessed to have a really good, healthy life and healthy body, you're still probably going to get colds and things like that from time to time. Maybe you need to get dental work done, things like that. Dental work is so expensive nowadays, depending on what you're getting done. So, having dental insurance, health insurance, stuff like that, that's really, really key. So yeah, definitely look into that. If you work somewhere, see what you can do to get that set up. So that way you have that as a protection blanket per se for your money. So that's really kind of my top tips for your 20s. Now, a couple of other things that I would point out, again, could be different depending on everybody's situation, but they could be big financial budget busters. But definitely something I would want to plan for depending on your situation. So that might be buying your first home. Some people buy their first home in their 20s. We bought ours pretty young as well. We started saving early, and then we kind of did things backwards. We got married, got jobs, bought a house, then decided to go to college and things like that. But it worked for us. So, but anyway, say you're mid-20s, you're late 20s, and you're wanting to buy your first home. Again, you're going to want to put down as much money as you can so you can keep your payments low, have a lot of equity in the home. So if that's a goal of yours, maybe you're like, Heather, I'm 24 years old and I'm still in college. Okay, well, focus on that. But whenever you start getting out of debt, if you don't already own a home and that is a dream of yours, is to own your own place, start saving as soon as you can for that. And, set it up in an account where you're not going to touch it, and just steadily start putting as much money as you can. Doing a budget every single month consistently will help ensure that you're maximizing your income. Another thing, I don't personally have kids yet, but I know, or it feels like pretty much every one of my friends have kids, 1 or 2, 3, 4 kids. So if you have any aspirations for your kids to go to college and you as the parent want to help them achieve that goal one day in life, it's kind of like retirement planning. The sooner you can start saving for your child's college, the better. Working in the financial services industry and, assisting clients through my financial coaching, one of the things that really saddens me and kind of frustrating is to see so many parents where they wait till their kid is 16, 17, 18 years old, and then all of a sudden it dawns on them that, hey, I've got to start figuring out how to help my kid pay for school, if they want to. And I just wish so many people would think about it when they're young, when your kid is little, because again, you can put a little bit of money aside in a college fund and see that money grow, just like your retirement money grow, towards more money for that child for their, college expenses later on, versus you've worked all your life, you're trying to do good with your money, and here you are, you've got to figure out how to pay 4 years worth of tuition, books and fees, maybe rent or board for your child. And that's just one. So if you've got more than one, that can be a huge financial burden later on. So again, even though if you're in your 20s and your kids are little, they're little babies, now is the time to start setting that stuff up. If you have no plans, or like me, I haven't had kids yet and I'm in my 30s, then obviously you don't have to worry about doing that. So just kind of think about your dreams and aspirations, what your current family status looks like, and what can you be doing to, again, set yourself up for success, become financially independent, and stand on your own 2 feet and make good, strong, solid financial decisions. And I promise you, when you get into your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you will really be thanking yourself. So I hope you found this tips and information really valuable. If you did, either way, please subscribe and follow me. I'll be putting out new financial content each week. That's kind of my goal, is to try to be as consistent at least once a week with a video. So with that being said, next week I'm going to focus on the decade for our 30s, which is what I'm currently in. So that's definitely something I'm excited to do some research on, because probably a lot of you out there are trying to do the best that I can with our income. So I hope you enjoy this. I am going to go ahead and get off here. It is a beautiful day. I'm going to go enjoy the last few hours of sunshine here in Texas. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.